said, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And I expected it because it's not just the Arab American Muslim community. It's young people who are, want to be heard, are concerned, have the same concerns about, they know what Hamas did was a terrorist act, but they are watching innocent civilians be killed.
You all know, but most people don't know. Unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community.
Vice President Kamala Harris's approval rating is higher than Joe Biden's. She's at 35%, slightly higher than President Biden's, which just, of course, hit a new low of 34%. This is the lowest in the polls tracking of his administration so far.
I would be very careful, President Biden, about getting rid of Kamala Harris because we will not support you.
Wait.
I just don't know how the Democrats plan to do it. Obviously, I believe they must have some sort of sneaky plans, right? They got to have some dirty plays to run because they don't give up power quietly and they don't ever seem to really go away. But I just don't see how they can possibly win anything fair and square this time around. There isn't one voting bloc that they aren't struggling with. They're struggling with young people, Hispanic people, black people, people who don't know what color they are. They're struggling with everyone. The only people who seem to be really steady with the left are middle-aged, low information, single issue, single females. And nothing against those people, but that just seems to be who they really still have a stranglehold on. And even that, I can't imagine that they stick around. Even David Axelrod, he recognizes that Joe Biden's in trouble. And I guess I really shouldn't say it like that, even David Axelrod. It makes it sound like he's some sort of extremist, and he's not. I mean, the Democrats have moved so far left so quickly that the architect of Obama himself is now one of the more reasonable people in the entire Democratic Party. And they tried to get him to say something negative about Trump, courting black people. And he actually said, the dude's got a case.
Let's look ahead to the potential general election matchup. Donald Trump this weekend, he spoke to a gathering of black conservatives in South Carolina, making an appeal to black voters. And I'm going to play what was part of his pitch. Listen to this, X.
We've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population.
And that's just a portion of what he said. He was talking about his legal troubles, the mugshot. Regardless of if that was scripted or was a Trump off the cuff, and regardless of how it was received, this fits with his attempt to try to appeal to black men specifically. Should this be a legitimate concern for the Biden campaign looking ahead?
I think it should. Look, he's polling, 21% among African-American voters here. Biden got 88% of that vote back in 2020, and this is going to be a marginal race. So this is a concern. And yes, black men, and particularly younger black men, are the ones that are drifting away. Some may vote for Trump, some may not vote at all. And this has to be a concern for the Biden campaign. Trump knows that. And by the way, I think it may impact on his vice presidential choice. And, there's a lot of talk about Tim Scott as a vice presidential candidate. I think if he picks Tim Scott, it's partly because he recognizes this would be helpful in kind of sealing in that portion of the African-American vote that he now has.
Yeah, I mean, kind of taking it full circle, it's the not even...
He's not wrong. I think the people on CNN, they don't quite know how to handle even-keeled, seemingly reasonable people who just don't rattle off constant stream of anti-Trump nonsense every time they come on. The guy's right. They should absolutely be concerned. I mean, we saw 100,000 people vote no confidence, basically, in Michigan, or whatever they call it. And I can't see that they have any real path to fixing any of this. They've done nothing positive for any of their traditional voting blocs in the entire 3 years that they've been at this. Honestly, they haven't done anything positive for them for 60 or 70 years, but they haven't accomplished anything noteworthy for anyone, not one person. And it's not just people of some specific color or gender or sexual preference that they're having a problem with. Real Clear Politics, they just started a pretty fantastic podcast, and they have some really interesting positions.
We also had some new polling data come out just this very morning from Emerson College showing Donald Trump leading Biden by 46-44. And in a five-way race, Trump is up 3 points. Trump 42, Biden 39, Kennedy 6, Stein and West both won. We also have this situation, Sean, where in the state of Michigan, you have a bunch of progressives and Arab Americans in the Dearborn area that have been Rashida Tlaib and others have been pushing for Democrats to not vote for Joe Biden in the primary, to vote uncommitted. And I just wonder, at what point he's obviously going to win the primary. Dean Phillips is not going to beat him there. Dean Phillips is at 5-7%. But at what point if uncommitted, at what number does that become a problem? If uncommitted is 10%, 20%, 30%? Or is this just kind of a local spat in the primary? But certainly it has implications in a general election setting for sure. But talk about the primary first.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much doubt Donald Trump's going to win it handily and that Joe Biden's going to win it handily. You kind of have to do the math, though. I think even as low as 2 or 3% is a problem for Biden because that can translate to a percentage point off of his margin in a general election. If a fraction of those voters don't show up, if a large fraction of them just kind of do the same thing for the general, he's done. Especially if you have Cornel West on the ballot, who is, rabidly pro-Palestinian, I believe. If there's a pro-Palestinian candidate on the ballot, he's going to have a really, really hard time winning that state because he doesn't have a lot of margin for error there.
It definitely is a situation where that's a state that's been pretty close the last couple cycles. Obviously, Trump won it in 2016, Biden won it in 2020, but in every single general election poll that we have in our average right now, Sean, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them that have been taken, 5 of them that have been taken since the beginning of the year. Trump's leading by anywhere from 2 to 8 points. He's up 5 in our average. If he doesn't win Michigan, that narrows the path quite substantially, doesn't it, for Biden?
Yeah, if he doesn't win Michigan, it's pretty much over. And just because I laughed while you were saying that because people are just in denial about this online and just how dire things are. I don't think Trump has ever led in a Michigan poll in 2016 or 2020. Maybe Trafalgar had one at the end of 2016, but I mean this is unprecedented. So Biden's in a world of hurt there. And if he's shedding Arab American voters because of his position in Israel, it is very, very difficult for him to win the presidency without Michigan.
Last thing, going back to the primary and Nikki Haley, you've watched this, you've watched her, you heard her speech. She's obviously going to lose again tomorrow. I mean, there's no evidence that, there's any victory. And then you've got Super Tuesday. The following Tuesday, a ton of states. And, someone asked her, I think it was someone on Fox News, Harris Faulkner, or someone said, when are you going to win a state or where are you going to win a state? And she got kind of, offended by that. She said, only 3 states have voted. There are plenty more states out there for people to vote. How long does this go on? And how much of a problem is it for Donald Trump? You had Gavin Newsom on one of the Sunday shows saying, look, Nikki Haley's great. She's our best surrogate against, Trump. So how long do you think this goes on, and how much does it hurt Trump? A lingering effect into a general election.
I don't think it really hurts him that much. I mean, it's because she's not really drawing blood anywhere. She's fast reaching. Yeah, only 3 states have voted, but you have a Southern conservative state, you have a libertarian New England state, and you have a Farm Belt evangelical state. If she doesn't win there, where's she going to win? And she's at the point now, I think, where she's hurting herself more than she hurts Trump because no one really thinks she can win, and I don't really think she's landing blows on Trump. I mean, I think any problem Trump has with establishment GOP voters at this point is there, whether Nikki Haley runs or not. I really don't know what the end game is for her at this point.
Okay. We're going to leave it there. Sean Trent.
It's an interesting problem that Joe Biden has. His own people are turning against him. And a lot of that largely comes down to his support for Israel, which I believe he'll give up in a second to try and save his own skin. I kind of am surprised he hasn't done it already. He's already starting to say some pretty weird things like, mark my words, there'll be a ceasefire in days or whatever. But I would imagine he will give up his support for Israel. But just like the border, like anything else he tries to do, it's all just going to be too little, too late, especially when you consider the fact that they haven't really been able to accomplish any of their objectives at all. So anything he does try to do, I think we got to believe it will almost certainly backfire. There are no redeeming qualities to Joe Biden. And some of us have recognized this for decades and decades, but now, finally, it looks like just about everybody else is catching on too. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.